despite what's going on, because greater is he that's within me than he that's within the world. And so having that dominion mindset helps you to be able to control the dream.
No matter what you go through, keep dreaming. Keep going, don't quit, keep reaching. You can be the best you wanna be, gotta believe it. Keep the faith, the mustard seed is all needed. You gotta want it as bad as you breathe. My journey and your journey different but unique. I wear the CJ on my chest as a reminder.
Good morning and welcome back to the Keep Dreaming podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Charleston Girley. So today is a very special day. This is our last episode in this season. Now, it's not the last episode in general. I'm going to continue to do the podcast, but it is for this season. You see, this was season 2, and I titled this season Evolution of the Dreamer, where my goal was for you to go on a journey with me and create change within your life, evolution within your mind, being able to go from one state of mind to a completely different state. And so my hope and prayer is that you have changed throughout this entire season and that the lessons that I've been able to teach you have helped you to grow. That's the whole purpose of season 2, being able to evolve. But I want to share something with you. So I have an internal framework that I go around. I teach students, I teach teachers, facilitators, CEOs. What I have is an internal framework. And whether you know it or not, you have been going through the internal framework. So the internal framework is dream to dominion. And what that means is being able to figure out what your dreams are, your goals, and being able to get to a state of dominion. So there are 4 pillars to this internal framework. The first is dreams. We covered this in our first couple episodes, and I use the scripture Psalm 37:4, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And then we moved to pillar number 2, which is discipline. We talked about being disciplined, having control over our flesh, control over our emotions, and then we moved to a thing called stewardship. That's the 3rd pillar. Stewardship means that I focus on what is in my circle. I don't focus on outside or external factors. I focus on the things that I can control. Your emotions, your habits, your rituals, your schedules, those things. But then the last pillar, which is going to be the one that we're going to cover on today, is dominion. What it means to take control of the dream, what it means to take control over your life. You see, that was one of the first commands that God gave us when he created us. Back in Genesis chapter 1, when it talks about God created man in his image, he created us to subdue the earth, to have dominion over all of the things of the earth. And so this episode is going to talk to you about what it means to have dominion. And so if I had to give a title to episode 20, our last episode, the title for today's episode is Dominion in the Fire. But we're going to jump into our coffee segment on today. So today's coffee segment is special. I'm taking a page out of somebody else's book, taking a page out of my girlfriend's book. She drinks chai tea lattes. And so today I got a chai tea latte with almond milk, no water, 2 pumps of vanilla. So shout out to her. I took a page out of her book. But if you got your coffee, your tea, your mug, let's do it. Cheers. Now let's get into today's episode. So dominion. You've been working on your dreams. You've been having discipline. You've been having stewardship. What does it mean to have dominion? On last week's episode, I asked you a question. What does the win look like? What is the dream when it finally happened? What does it look like? And the reason why I wanted us to answer that question was, number one, I wanted you to just kind of give yourself a visualization of what it looks like. But at the same time, I want us to understand that even when the dream happens, problems don't stop. Life doesn't stop. So you have to learn how to live with the dream. When you get the prayers that you've been praying for, your life doesn't miraculously change. You still have trouble. You still have problems. And so today's episode is going to teach you how to have dominion over that, how to have dominion over the dream, over the business, and be able to step into it, to have those problems and be able to control them more so from an emotional standpoint. You see, this is an internal framework. So what I teach focuses on your emotions, the things that are going on internally, more specifically the mindset. I can't control my external factors. I can't control what the weather is going to do today. I can't control what people are going to do. I can't control any of those things, but I can control how I show up for today, how I show up for the dream, how I show up for my family, how I show up for my business. And if I can learn how to have dominion over my mind, dominion over my emotions, dominion over my flesh, now I know how to walk and live with the dream. And so that's what we're going to be sharing and talking about on today. So for the movie segment, this movie came out in 2012, and it's a movie series that I really like, I really enjoy. And if you haven't seen this movie, I would definitely encourage you to go see it. They've made maybe three at this point, and I think the fourth one is coming out later this year, but it's called Hunger Games. All right, so now you're saying, man, how does Dominion relate to Hunger Games? Just stay with me for a little bit. Stay with me. So in the movie Hunger Games, this is a movie where these people are living, let's just say, in a city, and they have 12 districts, 12 colonies, 12 communities, however you want to put it, but there are 12 districts within this city. And so they put on these games, but in these games, let's just say Olympic type games, in these games they actually kill people. So if you are nominated to participate for your district in the games, you either win or you die. That's the premise of it. And so there are two people from every district, but I want to focus on District 12. So from District 12, we have our stars. We have Katniss Evergreen and we have Peter Millard. And so they get into the games, they get nominated, and so they have these set of rules where if your group kills everybody else, you become the winners. And so there's a specific scene that I want to highlight and point out where Peter and Katniss, they end up killing all of the other contestants. But then the rules change at the very end, and there's a specific scene that's going to come on the screen, but the rules change in this very last ending. And this is a point where I want to point out where life sometimes just happens. Life changes, where they change the rules immediately and they say there can only be one winner. Now, the original rules were that two winners from the same district. So essentially, Peter and Katniss have won the games, but in the last segment, they changed the rules. And this is just sometimes that how life happens, and there can only be one winner. But Katniss does something that I think is very powerful. She has these berries, and these berries, if you eat them, they will kill you instantly. And so instead of allowing it to be one winner, which means she would have had to kill Peter, she decides for her and Peter to go into some type of strategy where they eat the berries. So basically, what she's saying or doing in this moment is saying, because you changed the rules, we are willing to kill ourselves to where there'll be no winning. And immediately, right before they eat the berries, they come over the screen, they come over the intercom, and they say, okay, we'll go back to the original rules. There are two winners. You all have won the games. And so in that moment, the reason why I chose that scene and this movie, when it comes to Dominion, Dominion means not bowing down to things that are not speaking to the dream, not bowing down to life circumstances or trials just because they happen. Even if they happen last minute, change the rules, change the name of the game, it does not mean that you have to bow down and give up yourself, give up your dreams, give up the plans that you have. But it means standing tall, standing firm in the moment, being willing to go against all the odds, being willing to stand firm on what it is that you believe, what it is that you are achieving, what God has told you, and being willing not to bow down through all of it. That's dominion. That's what dominion looks like, being able to have control over the mind, control over your emotions. In that segment, it would have been very easy for Katniss to say, well, you know what? I'm going to kill Peter. I'm going to kill my partner because I want to survive. But she looked outside of her current circumstances. She looked outside of her current environment. She had dominion over her emotions. She didn't allow her emotions to drive her to make any rash decisions. And she thought logically from her mind and was able to make the best decision despite the circumstances, which ended up saving both of their lives, and they won the games. And so that's what dominion looks like. But if I had to jump to the personal story and what I felt like me having to take dominion over my life, I think I shared with you all before that my lung collapsed in 2017. But not only did it collapse in 2017, there was no rhyme or reason as to why this happened. Again, just kind of like in the movie Hunger Games, they changed these rules last minute. So there were no hereditary signs, there were no health signals that indicated that my lung was going to collapse. They went in, they did what they call plastering the lung, and then they basically deemed it as a freak accident. And they told me that this was 1 in a million chance that it happened, but because of the procedure that they did, it would be 1 in a million chance that it would ever happen again. So I thought, 2017, the first one happened. 2024, August 2024, my same lung, the right lung, collapsed again. So here I am faced with life. I was maybe 28, 29 at the time. And so here I am faced with life, a life decision and asking God, man, God, what is going on here? There's no rhyme or reason as to why this happened. Will I be able to live a normal life? I'm scared. They don't have any answers. And in this moment, I had to have dominion over my emotions. I had to remember what God told me and how he would prosper me. I had to remember all of the things that I had worked through up until the point. I had to remember the dream. I had to remember the discipline that I had. Just because a life circumstance happened, and it was a very dangerous one, it was a very huge one, I had to have control over my emotions. And in that hospital, I remember I was in ICU, and I told God, I said, God, if you give me another chance, I'll go out here and I promise I won't let you down. Having dominion means standing up, even in the face of trials, even in the face of tribulation, not being willing to bow down, even though the circumstances are huge against you. Life is going to continue to happen. The trials, the tribulations, just because the dream happened, just because you moved into the nice fancy house, just because now you got the money to drive the nice fancy car, does not mean that life is going to stop. Does not mean that life is not going to continue to punch. Remember in one episode I said, you just got to outlast a round. Dominion means that I am more than a conqueror despite what's happening. I am more than a conqueror despite what's going on, because greater is he that's within me than he that's within the world. And so having that dominion mindset helps you to be able to control the dream. You see, in the beginning, we are working for the dream. We're trying to make the dream happen. Well, when I get to that dominion state, the dream works for me. Life works for me. My God has already won the victory, so I don't have to worry about losing. So just because things happen does not mean that I have to bow down, does not mean that I have to play by their rules that society is saying, because God is the ultimate victor. So all I got to do is I got to continue to live my life, but I got to have the mindset to know that I have dominion over these things because he gave me that responsibility in the beginning when he created us. So if I remember that, now I tell those problems what's going on. Now I tell the situation what's going to happen. It may be difficult, but having the dominion mindset is the difference to being able to actually walk with the dream. I'm not asking you to only just simply have the dream. I want you to walk with it. I want you to talk with it. I want you to live with it. I want you to testify with it. I want you to be able to live and breathe with it. And in order to do that, you got to be able to have that dominion mindset. Now, for our Bible statement on today, we're going to be coming from the book of Daniel, one of my favorite books of the Bible. But in Daniel chapter 3, we're going to be covering three Hebrew boys. And so I'm pretty sure you know this story. And their names are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, we're coming from Daniel chapter 3, verses 25 through 27, but I want to give a little bit of a background. King Nebuchadnezzar, he has this command that when the band plays, everybody is supposed to bow. And you see where this is going. Just like in Hunger Games, they were wanting them to bow to the rules or the changing of the rules. But in this story, King Nebuchadnezzar, he had this rule. He wanted them to bow. And the three Hebrew boys said, we won't bow. We won't bow to you. We only serve our God. And so he ends up throwing them in the fiery furnace. But we're going to read what happens. And so if you got your Bibles, I'm reading out of the Message version. Turn with me to Daniel chapter 3, verses 25 through 27. But look, he said, I see four men walking around freely in the fire. Now, in the beginning, they threw three people in there, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And so King Nebuchadnezzar, he goes up, he looks in, and he says, but look, I see four men walking around freely in the fire, completely unharmed. And the fourth man looks like a son of the gods. Nebuchadnezzar went to the door of the roaring furnace and called in Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the high God, come out here. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they walked out of the fire. All the important people, the government leaders and king's counselors gathered around to examine them and discovered that the fire hadn't so much as touched the three men, not a hair seen, not a scorch marked on their clothes, not even the smell of them of fire. And so in this moment, we see that there's a rule that's going out in the land, and three Hebrew boys, they decided we're not going to bow down. We know who we are. And they said a specific saying earlier in that chapter where they said, we know our God can save us. We know that we're getting ready to be put in the fiery furnace. We are refusing to bow down. We know he can save us, but even if he doesn't, we still won't bow. And I think that that is one of the most powerful sense, and it shows the mindset of dominion, where just because things happen outside of your control does not mean that you have to bow down to them. But if I take it a step further, they get thrown in the fiery furnace. So the circumstance did not change. I want you to sit with that. Sometimes it does not change. Sometimes the problems don't go away. The trouble don't goes away. And so they get thrown in the fiery furnace. But when he looks in there, it's not only three, it's four. Now I was sitting with this for a little minute and I read another excerpt out of another book. And it talked about how, like, sometimes God won't rescue you from the fire. Sometimes he'll join you in it, because when he looked in there, it went from three to four. How beautiful is that? That even if God doesn't rescue me from the fire, he's going to come in there with me. When I think back on my lung collapse, I didn't miraculously heal from that. It actually happened again, but God joined me in that. And so I started to frame my mind saying, man, God joined me in this problem. God joined me in this trial. God, come in here with me, because even when he joined them in the fire, they were not consumed. And so from a dominion type of mindset, I'm not going to bow down. Whatever trials come, whatever problems come, I'm not going to bow down. I'm going to face them head on, because I know that God can save me from them. But even if he doesn't, I know that he has the capability to then join me in it. So if he's not going to pull me from it, God, get in here with me. And that's exactly what happened with the three Hebrew boys, where God joined them in the fire based on their faith. Let's sit with that. Based on the faith that they had, and they were not consumed, and they didn't even smell like smoke. But I'm going to take it one more step. I'm going to go back to Exodus chapter 3, when it talks about Moses and the burning bush, and how God appeared to Moses from a burning bush. And what the application or the correlation that I'm making here is, sometimes God is in the fire. Sometimes God is the fire, because in that moment when Moses recognized the fiery bush, God, that was God. And then also in the fiery furnace with the three Hebrew boys, that was God. And so sometimes you got to reframe your mindset and say, man, you know what? God is the fire. God is going to be in the fire with me. So if he doesn't take me from it, he's going to join me in it. But I got to have that dominion mindset to understand that I'm not caving. I'm not bowing down. I'm not retreating. I'm not running back. I think in the last episode of season 1, where I talked about there is no retreat. You have to continue to go forward. We're not going back to Egypt. We left that for a reason. We left that place for a reason. So from a dominion mindset, I know that my God is capable. I know that he's all powerful. He's all knowing. But if there's a situation where he is not rescuing me from it, that doesn't mean that the dream is still not capable. It doesn't mean that I'm not where I'm supposed to be, but it's actually an opportunity for God to get in here with me. And so that's the application that I want to make, and the correlation that I want to make as it relates to Hunger Games, my lung collapse, and then the Bible story with the three Hebrew boys. God is in all of them. God is in all of it, but you can't bow down. You can't retreat. There's a particular part that you have to play, and it's based back in Genesis 1, where God gave us the command to have dominion over the earth. So if you're doing your part, you can best believe that God is going to do his part. Now, as I was reflecting over a few things, there were some more things that I just want to share with you. And I was reading this excerpt out of this book, and it talked about how everything is approved from God. God is sovereign. God rules over everything. So if a trial does happen, if a problem does come into your life, it's not like God is not knowing of it. He's all knowing. And when the way that they painted this, I thought that this was beautiful, and I wanted to share this with my viewers and listeners. When good comes, it has to come through God. He's given the approval. But also when bad comes, it has to come through God. So he has to give that approval. So if he has given the approval for bad, we know scripture says all things work. So if it has come through God, that means that it serves a purpose in some type of capacity, which means God already knew that this was going to happen, which also means God has a resolution. So I just got to continue to work through it. I just got to continue to embrace it. I got to continue to have that dominion mindset, understanding that God gave the approval. So if he gave the approval, then that must means it's going to do something positive for me. It may not feel like it, but I know that I won't be consumed. I know I won't smell like smoke. I know this fire won't burn me up, because God is greater than my problems. God is greater than my trials, and he has allowed this to come. So this is going to do something in me. me. Now, it may burn away some things in me that don't need to exist. It may burn away fear. It may burn away some insecurities. It may burn away all the things that do not need to happen, because it's probably refining me. It's probably clearing out in order to help me to either sustain the dream or walk with it. Remember, I said dominion means that I start to move with the dream. And so the fire that you go through, all it is refining you. But God is the fire. God is in the fire. And if I understand that, then that means that I can have a dominion type of mindset. And now I control the dream. So I just got one principle for us on this episode. Dominion does not remove the fire. It changes how you stand in. I'm going to say that one more time. Dominion does not remove the fire, but it changes how you stand in. Whatever it is that you're going through, in order to have that mindset about dominion, it's not going to change your life. Your life is not going to get drastically, perfect. We don't live in a perfect world. Now, there will be moments where your dreams happen, your goals happen, and things start to get better. But at the same time, what they say, new levels, new devils. There are always going to be trials and tribulations. And so dominion does not remove the fire, but it does change my mindset on how I stand in it. Because now when I'm going through it, I know that there's a resolution somewhere. Now, as I'm experiencing it, I'm having the mindset, this is doing something for me in the positive. Even if it's hurting, even if it's uncomfortable, it just changes how you stand in it. So now you go from trembling and you stand boldly. Now you are able to approach God boldly because you have the confidence and understanding what dominion actually means and actually how it applies to your life, and how you know that this is the original command that he gave you in the beginning. As you go through life and you go through experiences, all they are doing is creating more knowledge and more wisdom. If you lean into them, but when I get more knowledge, when I get more wisdom, now I understand how I can approach God. Now I stop crying all the time. Now I go with confidence. Now I go boldly to the throne and I make my request known. I go boldly to God and I say, God, though this is hurting, I'm understanding. So now, even if you don't take me from it, I need you to jump in here with me. Now it starts to give you understanding and applications on how to get through your problems, how to get through the different things that life may throw at you, because it's not going to stop, not on this side of heaven. This is a broken world, but we understand as we go through different things, we start to gain knowledge, we start to gain wisdom. As you listen to the different episodes, now you have different tools that you can use in order to help you in your everyday life. That was the whole purpose of all of this. And so this last phase, this last topic, dominion, now you understand that even if God doesn't pull you from it, he's going to join you in it. When you do create that business and it does come into fruition, God is still going to be there. Trials and tribulations, they're going to happen. But that's not an opportunity for you to walk away from the business. That's actually an opportunity for you to invite God. Hey, God, you gave me this vision. Come in here with me. God, you blessed me with this business. Get in here with me. Teach me. Show me how to operate this, the things that you have blessed me with. And so having that dominion mindset helps you to correlate all of that. And so as we get ready to wrap up episode 20, I've enjoyed sharing with you all throughout this entire season, just different things from an internal standpoint that I feel like can help you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, as it relates to you living the life that you are destined to live. We've only been given one, and I truly believe in the one life that we've been given. We owe it to ourselves, but we also owe it to God to live it to the best of our capabilities. Now, what things are going to look like going forward, there won't be an episode next week. I'm going to take some time, brainstorm, and see what I want season 3 to look like. Eventually, I'm going to start bringing some people on to the podcast, but for the most part, it'll be just me talking directly to you, because there are going to be things that God drops into my spirit that I feel like can help you. But I've enjoyed you all. As I always say, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Let's continue to grow this channel. Let's make this exposure known to other people so we can help other people accomplish the God-given talent, dreams, vision that God has for them. But if there's nothing else, as I always say, peace, love, and keep dreaming. See you guys soon.
You gotta be able to dream again. After you accomplish that one dream, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to God, you owe it to your family to be able to do it again, to dream again. But when you dream again, you're not only